Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Masters Muscle episode 38. Vin, we have a true celebrity tonight. So much that I actually put a nice, extra nice pressed shirt on tonight for our guest.
Yeah, you're all like good looking tonight. Got a nice hat on tonight
I
too.
did, I did the eyebrows, but our guest, she is a nutritionist, an herbalist, a fermentista, and some of you may recognize her from, I don't know, a small little show that recently aired called The Golden Bachelor. Vinny, who am I describing?
Anna, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk about everything good in life.
Awesome. So, Sean, Anna and I really didn't get a chance to talk all too much when our families everyone was at the in Palm Springs for the wedding, but we had a chance to talk. She was sitting right behind me on the airplane, and as a bodybuilder, I'm always leery to talk to somebody who says they know about nutrition and talk about how much protein I take or eating every couple of hours. And all of a sudden, Anna says, I'm trying to figure out how to get more protein in my diet. I eat every 3 hours. I brought all my food to the Golden Bachelor. And I'm like, I love this woman. This is great. We got to get her on the show and just get her ideas out there so women can hear how things should be done.
Yeah.
Because there's so many myths and just BS out there about, just recently I was talking to a prospective new client and she was saying, well, you're a man. You have to eat every 3 hours. I want to eat less so I can lose weight. And I was trying to explain to this woman, no, it doesn't work that way. You have to speed your metabolism up. And for a guy to tell a woman that, it doesn't go over very well. So I thought having you on and talking about what you do and just a few other questions that we have from some listeners and readers, we'll throw them at you later, and we'll just go through how you do things and how you roll with your nutrition. And so, first question is, how did you get started in being in the field you're in?
Okay, so those are all great observations. I got started when I was 18 years old, and I'll be 62 in April. And I've never let a moment go by that I wasn't up to date on whatever is happening. And the funny thing is, when I started at 18 years old, that was 1980-ish. And I immediately started working with somebody called Bernard Jensen. You know who knew Bernard Jensen? Your sister, Vinny, Teresa, actually knew all about him. And when I was studying under him, I flew out to California when I was 18, going into 19, just graduated from high school, going into college. I had that little bit of a break that they have now, sort of summer off. So I spent that summer in Escondido, California with Bernard Jensen. Ended up with a degree from his school that he had going on there. And it was all about colon health.
Mhm.
Funny enough, what are we all talking about now? Gut bacteria, the microbiome. Well, I was studying that in the 1980s. So everything really does come back around. It's all a basic principle. The basic principle is to keep your gut healthy, to keep your body healthy. If you don't feel right, if you get headaches, if you feel tired, that's a signal something is wrong. Back it up and find out what's happening. Start eliminating things from your diet. Start changing things in your life and see what clicks for you. Get out and get more sunlight. If you're not sleeping, you have to produce more melatonin. How? Not by taking melatonin supplements, but by producing melatonin in your body yourself. That is with sunlight. As soon as you open your eyes at 6 in the morning, 6:15, 6:30, windows open, shades open, better yet, get outside. Have your coffee or your matcha tea, whatever you're drinking, outside in the bright sunlight. Daylight, sunlight, doesn't have to be the sun shining on you, but that light that comes into your eyes and hits the pituitary glands behind your eyes stimulates melatonin. So some people will say, oh, I wake up at 6:30. You're laying in bed in the dark cocoon that you've made for you. You're not producing melatonin. You're not going to be able to sleep at night. You have to get fresh air. You have to get daylight. You have to get some exercise. So all of these principles do come back. They're really basic principles. So long story, I started when I was 18, doing the same thing I'm doing right now at 62.
That's awesome. Because I've been down the same path. I started. Teresa and I learned from our dad.
Yeah.
he used to, he was ahead of his time. He would make juices and salads, and he had this big concoction, this big apparatus that made juices and carrot juice and apple juice, like right from the machine.
I
All
wonder
raw,
if it was the Norwalk juicer that pressed it. That was like the
yeah,
big time
big
fancy.
red thing you push down.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were used to that growing up, and you know, my my direction shifted in wanting, I was a boy, young boy. I wanted to be
Yeah.
big. I wanted to be massive and
Yeah.
muscular. And my dad brought home a weight set, and then it had this whole nutrition pamphlet about how to eat properly.
Look at
And
that.
so I'm
So
doing
simple.
this just like you, like since I'm
Yeah.
16 years old, it's my life. And when I talked to you on the airplane, and I was wishing I could talk to you longer, and we were talking about like making concoctions on how to
Yeah.
do like anything to tweak putting a little more protein in your diet.
Right. Prep
So
day. We're talking about prep day. I got to get home
Sure.
because it's prep day. Yeah.
prep day, yeah.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you this: when a woman, let's forget men for a second. This
Yeah.
is going to be all about women tonight. So a lot of women believe in, not all, but some,
Yeah.
some that a lot that I encounter believe that you got to eat less to get in shape.
Right.
And
Not a chance. You
right,
have to eat
explain.
more. Think about your car. You're putting gas in the car so it can go. You have to put gas in your body, and it's the right kind of gas. Nutrient dense food. That should be the key word for everybody. Look at what you're eating. Is it nutrient dense or is it brown and white and beige? Get brown, white, and beige off your plate. It needs to be colorful. Vegetables, fruits, white flaky fish. It has to be a beautiful, colorful plate, not just for the aesthetics of it, but because that is where the nutrients come from. And every 2 hours, I'm having a plate, not a lot of food all at once because I'm full after a few bites. I really don't need that much. But I make it a nutrient dense plate. A bit of protein, a bit of complex carbohydrates, a bit of vegetable, and then at the end, a little bit for my sweet tooth, some fruit, maybe a piece of dark chocolate, something that helps me feel good. And I do a little plate like that probably 4 times a day, every 2 to 3 hours. And that's why when you and I spoke, I did stop at Whole Foods for the wedding because I wanted to stock my little mini refrigerator with stuff that I could sort of just put in my mouth. If we're running to do something, an interview or a get together, I want to be able to eat something real quick that's nutrient dense and that has oil for sustainability so that I don't then become hungry when I'm wherever we are and people are grabbing bars. Bars is just candy. I don't care what they call that bar, a kind bar, a granola bar, call it whatever you want. It's just candy. It's a simple, complex carb. Try to have a meal, full fat meal. Yogurt with full fat in it, olive oil on your salad, always a squeeze of lemon on your spinach and your greens. That will help you assimilate the nutrients from that green vegetable. You have to think, and it's not something that can happen quickly. It's a slow process.
Of
And
course.
what you were asking is the difference sort of between women and men. And for women, it's a hormonal issue. Everything is a hormonal issue. And the way to balance your hormones is to balance your blood sugar levels. If you can balance yourself, your hormones will also balance. I went through the change, with the hot flashes and whatnot. It really was not a big deal. It was very manageable. I have friends that were really having a very hard time. And I think in my case, it's because I used a lot of herbs and a lot of foods that managed hormone stability. You just want to equalize them because one is going up, the other is going down, estrogen's going down, everything is sort of wobbling. You want to stabilize it. Blood sugar stabilized, hormones stabilized. And you can do that with food and herbs. It doesn't have to be radical.
It's funny, you just actually answered one of the questions that somebody asked.
Yeah.
Now,
So,
go ahead.
when we spoke on the phone earlier, we had mentioned that how you have to make modifications as you get older, whether it's exercise, diet, whatnot. But I think you mentioned earlier on the phone that things have not changed for you throughout your life. Did I remember you saying that?
No, they really haven't. I was thinking about that, and it occurred to me when you asked me that, that really not much has changed since I started eating like this at like 18. The only thing that I think has changed, I mentioned to you, is a little bit my weight. It's just a little
Mhm.
heavier, maybe by 10 pounds, which is not a lot from, an 18-year-old kid. So that wasn't a lot. And then I had the hormone fluctuations when I was around 50. So that was really about the only difference. But I tell you what, if you can sleep right, and when I say sleep right, I mean 8 hours lights out, like really good, solid sleep. If you don't have that now, just work on that first. Have that be your first step, is work on getting really good sleep. There's a lot of herbs you can do for it. Like I said before, a lot of daylight during the day. And about now, 8 o'clock-ish or so, 8:30, 9 o'clock, I start to lower the lights in the house. Everything starts to get a little dimmer, a little quieter. I don't have hospital lights on in the kitchen anymore. Everything goes down a little. Your body has to start unwinding. So by the time I get into the bed, my body is already saying, oh, it's time. We're producing that melatonin that we've been storing up all day. So really, sleep is very important for women. Men too, but really for women, for the hormone balancing. Very
And
important.
I want to add something to that that some people miss. They say, "Well, listen, I'm averaging 7 to 8 hours of sleep," but they're not saying that they're going to bed at the same time. They're not cyclical. I'm getting 8 hours, but I'm going to bed at 11 one night. I'm going to 9 the next night. People
Yeah.
don't seem to understand that you have to have almost that same cadence every night.
Yep.
That's right. And if you really look into it, there is a time somewhere between 10:30 and 11 that is really the ideal time to go to sleep. If you go past that, you sort of get a second wind, as we all know, when we're at parties or we're at events. All of a sudden at 11, 12, we're still like in a great mood. It's because we've pushed ourselves beyond that point. And the next day we pay for it. We're a little tired. So I'm not saying don't have fun, don't go to those parties. Of course, do it. But when you can, try to get to sleep 10, 10:30, 11, really the latest. And I'm up at 6:30 every morning, 6:30. Blinds open, light all over the place. I just, try to get flooded with light as early as possible. So this way I'm tired by the time the evening comes and I start to unwind now. Yeah, really important to keep a schedule. You're right. But have fun. Just, all the off time
Moderation.
schedule. Yeah.
Just to circle back for a second to what we were saying a little
Yeah.
earlier. I think what happens a lot of times is, like you're saying, like not much has changed as you've gotten older with
No.
your food and stuff. And
Yeah.
same thing with me. But in my line of work, a lot of people that come to me have been eating a certain way their whole lives and
Yeah.
never had a problem
Yeah.
to make a change. And now they're entering their 40s and they're starting to see extra body fat, things are slowing down. And then all of a sudden they're starting to make drastic changes and then they don't stick to those changes. What is your recommendation? What do you say to women when they're trying to, they all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm 40 years old, I'm 50 years old, and my body's changing. How do you approach them to implement good nutrition? Because no one's going to be like you or I.
Right.
They're not going to be like us. They're
Yeah.
not going to stick to it. So how do you gently go into it and gradually explain how to introduce things into their lifestyle,
Yeah.
or like how do you go about it?
Yeah, so I have friends ask me this all the time that haven't believed me all these years. And I'll tell you what, I hate to say it, but a lot of them are now suffering from cancers, are starting, a lot of weight gain. Their hips are going, their knees are going. It's little by little. I really see it. So, what I tell them to do, if people can do it, cut out alcohol. Have that be your first thing. Just stop drinking. That is the one thing that I did notice that I can't do anymore. If I take a sip of a wine now or a sip of somebody's drink, I get a buzz just from a sip. I know people have a hard time believing that, but I
No,
really
I
do.
do.
Yeah, I get a buzz just from a sip. So I think really alcohol is the devil right now. After 40s and 50s, you just can't do it. It's going to put on weight. It's going to make you feel sluggish. So if they can cut that out, I always say, please start there. And then definitely start by cutting out juices, any kind of fruit juice, any kind of, sweetened drinks. It's those drinks that are extra calories and extra sugar. You should really cut that out. So, and then I say, give it a couple of weeks, cut those two things out and let's see how it goes. And then up your exercise is the third thing. Don't let a day go by that you're not getting an hour of exercise. I would love them to do an hour straight. And I don't care what that exercise is, whether it's walking vigorously, not slow walking with your dog and stopping every 2 seconds. Leave the dog at home if it can't keep up. but like a vigorous 1 hour. Like I play pickleball for 1 or 2 hours. You just need 1 hour of that. Walk vigorously, 1 hour of that. If you're doing your weight training, don't stop and look at your phone and, watch TV. Just get it over with. Get an hour straight. And then you'll see your metabolism will start increasing. You've cut out the sugar. You've increased your exercise. Just do those three things in the beginning. I tell them, I plead with them. Just those three things in the beginning and let it sit for a bit. Don't worry about what you're eating right now. We can get to that later. But just do those three things and let me see how you're feeling in a few weeks. And almost always they say, oh, I see a big change. Now what else can I do? And once you start adding stuff, then they feel a little overwhelmed. That's a problem. So you got to cut it back and just do it little bits at a time. Okay, next thing is cut out any muffins or cookies or baked goods. That's a good fourth thing to do. Anything that's baked, brown, tan, just cut it out. Let's see how that goes for a little bit. Oh, but I'm hungry and I need to snack. All right, so we'll find something for you to snack on if that's the case. Or up your protein, up your olive oil. The satiation that you get from full fat foods, olive oil, avocado, it's really amazing how it will stretch out in a day. Don't be afraid of fat because you're going to burn it. Good fat you will burn as fuel. But those empty carbs, you're not going to burn them. They are going to sit and stick to your sides. They don't burn.
Very interesting. So do you cook a lot with oils? You eliminate the butters and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, I cook a lot, but I add the olive oil at the end. So after I finish, steaming kale or making broccoli, when it's nice and hot, I make a mixture of olive oil with garlic. I press garlic into the, like a liquidy press.
Sure.
And I press it right into the olive oil bottle and I let it sink to the bottom, shake it up, and I leave that in the fridge. Lemon is always in my fridge. So over any vegetable at the end is olive oil, garlic mixture, squeeze of lemon. You can't believe how good it is. A little salt. I always use a little salt. I have no fear of salt. Just a little bit. It really ups the food flavor.
So I have a question from somebody, one of my clients. She is getting into herbs, and she wanted to know what herbs can she take on a daily basis for general health. What do you recommend?
So one of my favorites are the adaptogens. If you just give her the name adaptogens and she can, that's ashwagandha. Just start with those two. I don't want to overwhelm. I can give you a list so you can believe my vitamin cabinet. But just start with those two because those adaptogens will help you adapt to stress. They help you lower your cortisol levels. They help you stabilize your hormones. Start with those two, morning and night. So, I probably wouldn't recommend doing what I do. I get the fresh herb and then I tincture it with vodka. And then 3 weeks later, I come back and I use it as drops. Don't worry about that. Just go to the store and get it standardized. It comes in a capsule these days and it's really quite inexpensive. So just capsules of ashwagandha, capsules of rhodiola. I would do that 2 times a day. Then you could up it to 3 times a day. See how you feel. But it will definitely lower your stress. Once you lower that stress, your cortisol levels go down and your hormones do stabilize. You'll notice a big difference. If you're talking about herbs for sleeping, I would do valerian root or passion flower. Just those 2. Add them at night right before you go to bed. So those are 4 herbs that you can try. That's a really good start for just overall well-being. There's so many others like ginseng and all of that. I get it, but let's start with these 4. They're really good.
Do you also recommend that for men?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, hormones and cortisol levels, that's stress, that's with everybody. Sleep, that's with everybody. Yeah. Okay. Women benefit a lot from it, and women are much more sensitive to herbs. It's funny. I noticed it when I was younger, is that I noticed changes in women much faster than I do in men. Not sure why, but I did notice that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anna, when you mentioned adaptogens, a little bit different, but how do you feel about the mushrooms?
Love
like your
mushrooms.
lion's manes and your cordyceps and things like that?
All of it. I take it all. Turkey tail. I forage for them when I go hiking. I hike with a bag in my pocket all the time, and I cut them, bring them home. I dehydrate them. I powder them. I don't even put them in capsules anymore. When I first started doing this, like 20 years ago, I would buy gelatin capsules and I would dehydrate them, powder it in my Cuisinart, and then individually put them into capsules and take them. Now I just take the powder right under my tongue. It doesn't taste like anything, or I put it in my smoothie. But mushrooms are huge. And there's so many products out there with mushrooms now that taste fantastic. So good that you brought that up. That's another really good adaptogen and for energy and for hormone stabilization. Very smart. Yeah, that's a good one. And you could get the full range of mushrooms. You could buy one product that has 4 and 5 different mushrooms in them.
Yep. I'm a big advocate of lion's mane myself. Probably one of my favorites out of
Love
all
it.
of them.
Me too. I love them. I love reishi. I love lion's mane, turkey tail. And when I make the chicken of the woods, I love that because it's super high in protein. But it's very dry. You can't eat it like you think seitan or something. You really can't. So I dehydrate it and powder it and I put it in my smoothies. But it's one of the highest protein mushrooms. And I forage them. I get them from the woods when I hike.
That's pretty cool.
Free.
You're
Anna,
hardcore.
So Anna, we also have people that are watching the podcast, and they're actually feeding me questions here, and you can't see this,
great.
but Tom Potenza, Vinny,
Okay.
Tom, obviously, he said, "Can you ask Anna if Vinny was the most muscular person at the wedding?" I'll be a close
He's
friend
the
of
most
Vinny's.
muscular person anywhere. I don't know anybody more muscular than Vinny. And not did I see that at the airplane or in person, but when I look at his Instagram, dear God, go to his Instagram. I show everybody. If I'm sitting somewhere and I'm scrolling and he pops up, I'm like, could you look at this guy? He's
Thank
in his 50s. I say it all the time. You look amazing.
Well, that's my friend Tommy. We hang out. Tommy, you're an asshole.
Hey, Tommy.
In Jersey speak, he's busting Vinny's balls. Excuse my
Yeah.
French.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So-
Is he as big as you are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we had the finale, the party, we had it at his house.
Oh.
Yeah, we had
fun.
a party at his house, so he's a
Very
good friend now.
Jersey strong.
So
So Anna, you're from Jersey yourself, correct?
I am always. Yep. I grew up in Maplewood and I've been in Summit for 38 years. So here most of my life.
where about in Maplewood?
Maplewood, I grew up off of Boyden Avenue next to where the old men's home used to be and the community pool was. I was right on that corner. I went to Columbia High School. Yeah. Really.
Actually, Tommy, who was just teasing me, we used to go to a Diamond Gym in Maplewood.
Oh, really? I don't know where
Yeah.
that was. I wasn't really into working out so much when I was younger. I was more like fitnessy. They were doing step aerobics and
Okay.
all of this kind of aerobics classes. I wasn't doing so much with weights. I started that probably in my 20s. But that's another important thing for women of our age. You really have to work out with weights. You don't have to pump iron like Vinny does. You don't have to go too heavy.
No.
You could do a lot of reps with lighter, but super important. You have to get strong quads. You have to get strong butt muscles. These are the first things to go when you get old. If you can't get up and down off of a sofa without using your hands, you got to really work on it. I try to get up and down from the ground without using my hands. Super important to get your muscles up. And it looks great too. You do your shoulder muscles, your arm muscles, looks fantastic in clothes.
Well, also too, you need to have some good bone density.
You really do.
Yeah.
So
weight bearing exercises help women with that a great
it's
deal.
so important. You know what I do? You're going to laugh at me. I've got so many concoctions that I do. So I eat one egg every day, an organic egg, just because it's 8 grams of protein and why not? It's kind of fun, something different. And I wash the shells and I put them aside to dry. Then when I've got a whole big bowl of these dried out eggshells, I put them in the Cuisinart and I powder them, put them into a jar, and I put a teaspoon in my mouth every day of eggshells. They tell you could give them to dogs and horses, so why not people? It's a very absorbable form of calcium because you don't want to take calcium in a supplement because it can land in different places in your body and cause hardening, hard calcium deposits. But if you do a highly absorbable, like from an eggshell, you can take that and it will give your body the strength, bone strength from the calcium and absorbable. Like
That's first. I've never heard that before.
I know. I even do the same thing with banana skins. I wash the banana skins, I slice them, and I put them in the freezer, and I put them in my smoothie. It's a lot of magnesium. It's more magnesium and potassium than the actual banana. I do a little banana too, but it doesn't have the sugar.
You blend the banana skin until it's mush?
I put it in my Vitamix. First, it goes in my freezer. I wash it, I slice it, put it in the freezer, let it get super cold. When I make my smoothie, I do like a quarter or a half of a banana's worth of peel. And I put it in and it just smooths it with your smoothie. Gives a great taste. And like I said, it has more potassium, more magnesium than the actual banana and no sugar. And I just do a little bit of banana flavor because that has a lot of sugar.
All right. That's cool.
So Anna, one of the things on your Instagram handle, and Vinny and I were talking behind the scenes, a fermentista. Talk about that for a minute if you don't mind.
Yeah, so it's really important to have fermented foods. So I make fermented foods a lot, and I got a degree in fermentista with Sandor Katz. He's a really famous fermenter, and I eat fermented food every day. So it's great for your gut bacteria. Once your gut
Mhm.
bacteria is healthy, your whole body is healthy. There's a brain gut connection between good gut bacteria and your brain. So the healthier your gut is, the sharper your brain is. I remember everything. I don't have a problem with forgetting things. I'm very sharp compared to the people that I know. And I think it might have to do with my gut bacteria being in good shape. And I think it's from the fermented food. So, things that you can do at home, super simple, is take a really big bowl and slice cabbage. Just slice it up, cabbage, put it in the bowl, and then add salt. So I add for every 5 pounds of vegetable, a tablespoon of salt. So put a tablespoon of salt in there and start masticating. Start squeezing it and squeezing it. It takes a while, your hands get sore, but soon you'll start seeing some liquid form. If it doesn't have enough liquid, you can add a little bit of extra liquid, tiny bit of water, maybe a little bit of lemon juice if you want, but just a little because it'll start making its own water. Once you feel like it has a little bit of water, you get a mason jar, glass mason jar, push that cabbage in there and just push it down with your hands. Keep getting it down. Put a weighted item on top. I have like a little, it's like a glass tchotchke that's heavy. And I put it on top of the cabbage at the end because you want to keep the cabbage under that water that's forming. And then put it in a dark closet for 3 weeks. But keep checking it, make sure no mold is getting around it. Push that thing back down, get the water to come up. The mold will only create if the food is away from the water. If everything is underwater, it doesn't get moldy. So just check it, and in 3 weeks, you unearth a beautifully fermented sauerkraut. That's a really super, and you could Google it if you don't remember anything I said. Super easy.
Interesting.
But I
Interesting.
do all kinds of stuff. I do kimchi with anchovy paste. I do natto with black soybeans. I do milk kefir. We should never be drinking milk. I hope everybody knows. No milk drinking, not necessary. But
Never.
if it's soured milk, as in a really good quality whole milk Greek yogurt, that's fine. If it's a milk kefir, that's fine. Little sour cream is fine. Buttermilk is fine. So a milk that has soured is really good for you. So I make my own milk kefir. I
Wow.
buy really good quality yogurt, and every day I have a little bit of good bacteria. So that's fermentation.
So,
So you
question with the sauerkraut. So, if someone doesn't have the time to do what you're doing,
Yeah, just buy it.
because I go to Trader Joe's to get my sauerkraut, and I have a tablespoon, a forkful every day.
Okay, and is it refrigerated? You don't want to get the kind that's in a jar in the dry goods aisle. It has to be alive and refrigerated. It has to have the live bacteria.
Before you purchase it.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you're better off going to like a ShopRite, a King's, any supermarket has it these days. Go to the refrigerated section and you'll start seeing them all there. It's like they have the kimchi there, they have the sauerkraut there, they have all kinds of fermented vegetable. The one that you're buying is really just a salt and vinegar solution. It's not so good for you. It's got
Okay.
a lot of sodium and it doesn't have any live bacteria. What you're looking for is this live bacteria, and that has to be refrigerated. And when you bring it home, you refrigerate it. It's only when you're making it do you leave it in that dark cubby, and it'll just keep fermenting. If you do, and it might go a little bit beyond and start getting mold, so you put it in the fridge after 3 weeks. But
All
yeah,
right.
in the refrigerated section,
interesting.
any of the vegetables.
So that answers why it's not working. Okay.
That's right. Yeah, but that's a great idea to have a tablespoon. I do that as well. If I pass by the refrigerator, if I want something, I take I make my own, so I take a tablespoon or two and put it next to my food, just like a condiment. It's really good to add bacteria. You want to get as much bacteria in your system as possible. You can spend a lot of money on the acidophilises and the bifiduses. They're questionable, and a lot of people don't want to spend the money that it takes to get the really good one. I'm talking like $150 for a bottle. People don't like that. And you don't have to. You can eat it. Just make sure that you're buying these high quality fermented vegetables, and you'll get it. And the water and the milk kefir.
Well, thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
And we had another question here from someone circling back to calcium earlier.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on vitamin K2? And I've never heard this MK-7. I've never heard MK7.
Yeah. So the K2, you need to have it with the D3. So you can buy it in a combination. It's one pill. It's very inexpensive. So they used to say D3. Everybody take your D. Everybody take your D. Fantastic. Take it. But you're not assimilating it as much as you should. It's not getting into your bones without the K2. So now
Mhm.
they started adding the K2 to the D3. The other one I'm not familiar with, this you're not saying MCT oil, are you?
No, it says MK-7, and I'm not
Don't know
familiar
that.
with it either, but as we continue to talk, I'll look it up quickly.
Ooh, I'm going to Google that. MK2.
The MK7.
MK7. Okay, I'll look at it.
Yeah.
This is how I learn stuff. I'll hear something, and once I Google it, I'm like, oh my God, that's something new. It's fantastic. And I'll start adding it. But yeah, I got to really look into it first. But yeah, a lot of new things come out, which are great. You got to stay on top of it. You can't keep going old school way, even though it's a good foundation. Things change a lot. Like example, this K2. Who knew? We were doing D3 all this time without the K2, and it's very important, super important. You only need 100 milligrams of the K2, but you really need it.
Now, do you ever have any? Do you pick a day to have something that's bad for you? Like,
I don't like food that's not good for me. After all these years, I really just don't like the flavor of it. That would be, I guess, like fried foods or chips or pastries. I just don't like them. They don't feel good in my body. They don't feel good in my mouth. I treat myself every day, like I said, a little dark chocolate. If I like a really good quality ice cream, that'll stay in the freezer. And after I eat, it's one spoonful. Here's a tip about things like that. People who have a sweet tooth, and they say they have to have their ice cream or they have to have cake or cookie. I suggest to them that they try this. After 2 or 3 bites, your satiation in the back of your tongue and in your brain has already been triggered. If people can just stop, take 1 bite, maybe 2 bites, really no more than 3 bites, your brain has already signaled, satisfied. That was delicious. Put it aside. If you want to go back to it, that's fine. But make sure you've had another meal that consists of a fat, a protein, and a vegetable. And then after that, if you still crave, another spoonful if you want. But what will happen is because you had that fat in your body, because you had that protein and vegetable in your body with the fiber, it will slow the blood by having the sweet right after you've eaten those items first. So make sure you eat those things first and then just a spoonful. I promise you'll be satiated. People mindlessly eat after that second or third bite. They don't even want it anymore. Your tongue and your brain has already signaled, I liked it. It was good. Now we can stop. But people don't stop.
Right.
So to close the loop on the K7, it's increases bone mineral density and promotes bone quality health and overall collagen.
Oh, collagen. Okay, maybe it's a collagen type product, which is great. Yeah, those are
Yeah,
good.
it looks like a kind of a calcium type bone supplement. But anyway, okay.
You have to watch with I have to know what's in it because you don't want to
Sure.
actually take a calcium supplement. It has really had a lot of problems, especially in women with calcium deposits. It doesn't always get absorbed and eliminated from your body easily, and it'll settle in places that you don't want it to settle. That's a big problem. Magnesium, on the other hand, we really need a lot of. So that's another thing that I wanted to talk about is upping
Please.
people's magnesium. It helps for everything. It helps for muscle soreness. It helps to sleep. It helps for relaxation in your body, to be calm, these cortisol levels to go down. My favorite magnesium is the 3-and-8, and it's spelled TH.
Yep. 3-and-8.
Yeah, 3-and-8, magnesium 3-and-8. That's one of the best forms of magnesium. That one I love. So you can Google that.
You ever take a magnesium bath?
I do, the Epsom salt bath. So here's another thing that I do all the time. I have an infrared sauna. You got to get one, Vinny. Infrared sauna. So it helps so much after a workout. I have gone in there with like, my hips hurt from pickleball, or, geez, my quads and my glutes are killing me, too many squats. And I've gone in thinking, oh, I'm so sore. I've come out 50 minutes later forgetting what was sore. It totally eliminates it. The other thing that it really is great for, I've gone in with things on my mind, like a little down about this or feeling a little glum, or like something with the kids has come up and you feel bad. Literally, when I come out, I have forgotten all about it. It stimulates in your brain the serotonin release that you would get from, exercise or being with a loved one. It really releases a lot of these good endorphins. and also has the benefit of the body healing. So after my infrared sauna, I jump right into an Epsom salt tub.
Oh,
I do that almost every night.
oh,
Do you
cool.
take it hot or cold? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the tub is medium.
Okay,
I started hot so it dissolves the magnesium. But by the time I get out of there, it's a little bit cool. And then I'll just do a cool shower rinse, like a 30-second ice cold,
yeah.
just to get all the magnesium off and give a good closing to it. But yeah, I do that every day. I actually did it earlier than this because this is my time to do it. So since I knew this was coming, I did it at like 5 o'clock today.
All right, cool.
Have you
Yeah.
tried it's cryotherapy? Have you tried
I have
cryotherapy?
done that. I like it, but the interesting thing is, so we're talking about heat shock protein release. When you talk about cold or you talk about hot, it's
Sure.
the release of heat shock protein. So it boosts your immune system and it has all these other benefits that I mentioned before. So you can do either one. You could do cold and get the same thing that the hot is giving you. It's just the opposite spectrum. So I prefer hot. And it's easier to do at home than having a cryo tank or one of those cold plunge tubs, which I actually met somebody when I was skiing in Steamboat Springs last week because I went into their hot springs that had a cold plunge and it was fantastic. Well, this guy was sitting in this cold plunge, 35 degrees for 6 minutes. So, of course, I had to grill him when he got out. I'm like, are you just doing this now? How is this happening? He goes, no, I DIY'd a deep freezer. I probably shouldn't be saying this on national YouTube, but he DIY'd it, and you can do it if you Google it. A deep freeze, it keeps the water cold. He
Yes.
closes it so it stays that way. When he gets in, obviously you open it and keep it open, but he does like 6 minutes every day in the deep freeze.
I've seen those where people refurb, yeah, like meat lockers, like little meat freezers.
Exactly. So I think it's on my mind because I was gonna buy one, but they're like 2 or 3 thousand, and this sauna was already 6,000. They're quite expensive, the infrared saunas. So I was like, oh, I got to put an end to all of this, spending on health stuff. So I think I might look into it. I'll check back with me. Let's see if I actually did it.
Yeah, twice a week I go for infrared and cryotherapy.
Oh, you do in like a boutique place, a place that does both?
Yeah, it's a personal training studio
Uh-huh.
that I
But
go
you
to.
probably do the infrared bed, right? They have the thing
No,
that.
it's sauna.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's all wrapped around you.
Good
And
for
I go in for
you.
about 35 minutes, and then I go into the cryotherapy for 3 minutes, and I
Fantastic.
absolutely hate it because I'm
Yeah.
not good with the cold. I hate
Yeah.
it, but it's good for recovery.
It's very good for you. And the infrared you love though, right?
I love it. Yeah,
Love it. That's
yeah.
so good. I do 50 minutes, 50, and I have a little iPad in there so I watch a movie.
So I'll be honest, I bought one of the body bags. I bought an infrared, I call it a body bag, but
Yeah,
it didn't work right. I felt like I was
not
almost
the same.
burning myself no matter what I did.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
Too close. Too close. Yeah. You got to
yeah.
get the sauna. Yeah.
I just
Invest.
turn my fireplace on and stand next to it.
Yeah. I mean, you get good benefits from any kind of heat.
I'm joking. Joking.
Extreme. Oh, no. You don't want to burn yourself. But if it's any kind of heat, people say, oh, why does it have to be infrared? It has to be infrared because it goes into a cellular level. It's actually
Yeah.
infrared. But you could do the same thing in heat. Similar. Not the same, but similar.
Now, ever since I started incorporating the infrared, I've noticed that I recover a lot better in the gym. And now I'm going to be 57. When's your birthday? April what?
April 23rd. I'll be 62. Taurus.
Ah,
I'm April 18th.
April 18th. So you're Aries.
Yeah, the last
Yeah.
day. Yep.
we're both stubborn. I'm Aries as well, but I'm March. We're both stubborn.
Oh, two
All right.
Aries. Look at that. Very nice.
Cool. Yeah. So, but ever since in the last 5 years, my recovery isn't as great as it used to be. And instead of fighting it, I said, let me find something that would help. And the infrared has definitely helped.
Fantastic.
Great.
Twice a week, you said, right?
Yeah, because I got to pay for it.
I know. Yeah.
Expensive.
So if you amortize that out, how long have you been doing that?
It's been now a couple of years.
All right, maybe cut it now and just buy one and put it in the basement. It really goes anywhere. And you can get a small one. I got one for $2. The only two companies that I would recommend is Sunlighten and Clearlighten because you have to be careful of the EFM's electromagnetic field, EMFs. You have to be careful of the electric magnetic field. You could be actually poisoning yourself with the low quality ones. So those two companies have strict standards for the electromagnetic field.
Okay.
Yeah. So those two companies, I would just do it because you have the comfort now of your own home. I do it every single day. I rarely miss, and you can do 50 minutes. you'll like it a lot more and you'll get much more out of it since you already know how great it is. Make the investment.
Later on, I'll message you. Send me a
Yeah.
link.
Yeah, and it's
let's
small.
do
It doesn't take. I put it in my garage. You can even put one outside. It doesn't have to even be inside your house. It could be outside. If they have a cover for it, it's a redwood. Works
Okay.
great.
I'll look into it. Thank you. Thank you.
So anyway, we couldn't get off wrap up without asking just a few minutes about the Golden Bachelor, if we could.
Yes.
So with your story, did someone goad you to do it? I mean, what was your impetus for getting onto the show?
Yeah, so funny thing was about 6 or 7 years ago now, I had ended a relationship, a 3.5 year relationship. And I was just thinking, oh no, I don't want to get back on the dating apps. You know, it's so much work and it's so random and I didn't want to do that. And so as I'm thinking this to myself, up pops a commercial for, are you, 55 and older and looking? So I was like, oh, all right. So I messaged the casting. But keep in mind, that was 6 or 7 years ago. Heard
Oh, wow.
nothing. So I realized, oh, they didn't like me, or I don't know what happened, but it's over. I'm not going to keep doing it. I just did it the one time. 6, 7 years later, I get a phone call, 9:30 at night. Are you still single? Would you be interested? Oh, hell yeah, I would. So that's how it started. And I was super excited to go. The ladies were amazing. The producers are fantastic. Just the whole atmosphere of it all is just so exciting. It's really great to see the behind the scenes of how all of this is made. And it really is very cool. It was a great experience. I'm so happy I did it.
Cool.
To put you on the spot, though, were you a fan of the show before being on it? Were you
Very
kind of
much
a true?
so. Yeah.
Were you part of Bachelor Nation, or what do they call it yourself?
I never missed an episode. I'm not one
Okay.
for like tweeting or messaging or like friending things. So I never did that, but I never missed an episode. So I was so excited at the wedding, Vinny, that all of the older, Bachelor and Bachelor were there. I was fanning out. I took a picture with all of them. I couldn't believe I was seeing them in real life, and they were stunning. I cannot believe how beautiful they were. Did you think the same thing of those younger Bachelor and Bachelorettes? They were shockingly beautiful.
They were all cool, and all the guys, they took me in. They were calling me Uncle Vinny.
That's so fantastic.
Yeah, it was cool. I had a
great environment.
I hung out with Joey a little bit, talked to him, and my niece loved him. Who wouldn't? He's a good-looking kid. And
absolutely.
What was it? I forgot the guy's name. They got engaged on the show. He had the hat on.
Oh yeah, Brandon. Oh,
he
with the
really
earring.
nice. Yeah, good guy. They were all good people.
So handsome. I can't stop staring at them. They were like, their skin was flawless. Their bone structure was incredible. The clothes fell like hangers on them. They were just.
You know what I love? I ran into one of the diners that I go to in Paramus kind of recently. People were talking about the Golden Bachelor, and I'm just sitting there, and I want to hear what they're saying. And the one woman says, they don't really look like that. They were handpicked. And she starts talking about my sister and that, she had to be she was handpicked. There's no way, a woman like that, no 70-year-old looks like that. And these women are too fake. And I just had to get up and I'm like, that's my sister. Like, no way. And I had to show them the phone. Like, look, that's my sister. And that's what she looks like. She's been living and eating like that for her whole life.
That's
she
right.
Was not, I said none of the women were handpicked.
Yeah, no? She's amazing. And, when you say we weren't handpicked, the thing that I'm the most proud of is that there were 30,000 applicants for that show.
Crazy.
And us 22 were selected. I feel so great about that. As if I was picked by Gary himself. I just feel so honored to have had that chance to be on there. It was just amazing. And I know why we were all picked, because now I'm friends with every single one of them. And I'm interested in all of them. They're all interesting. They're all lovely. They all have big hearts. They all have personality. So I know why they chose us. We're really pretty special.
Well, you guys have a special bond.
Yeah.
On Wednesday morning, when my family and I were at breakfast, and you guys were sitting at the high table, we were just watching you guys interact. And like, no, let's not bother them yet. They're just all like chilling out and relaxing and being friends.
So excited.
Yeah, and then we bothered you.
Yeah. Yeah. I was so excited to see and be with everybody. I wish we all could have been there because there were 22 of us, and I think only half of us were able to go. I
Mhm.
guess it's hard to have everybody at such an event, but it would have been great to have every single one of us because they really are all fantastic. Renee is amazing. She's a ex NFL cheerleader. She's written books. I mean, she is really a powerhouse. There's just so many women. Jeannie is fantastic. She's in Iceland now. Peggy is just a ball of energy. She's beautiful. She has so much charisma. Just these women are amazing. Christina, beautiful, stunning woman. They're just, yeah, I can't say enough about all of them.
I
Did you
kind of fell into the whole thing of like, this is a wedding, and I completely forgot we're on a TV show.
Yeah.
And when Gary was up on the altar, and they said, "Hey, Gary, you got to come on back for a second," and he had to walk back down the aisle for whatever reason.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh, we're on a TV show right now." Completely forgot because you have all the cameras around
Yeah.
you, but everything was just done so
They're good
systematic
at it. Yeah.
and organized.
Yeah.
You
They've
didn't
been doing it a
realize
long
it. You
time.
fell in.
20
Hmm?
years.
What's that?
They've been doing it 20 years. They're a fine oiled machine at this point.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Was it hard, Anna, though, to take yourself out of the moment, saying, "Look, I'm one of the stars now"? Like, take yourself from fandom and now, like, to separate yourself. Does that make sense?
I don't feel that way because I was eliminated on the first night. So it was really just a flash for me. I didn't go the distance. So I don't feel that way. And I'm definitely humbled by reading some of the posts where they're like, okay, I see Faith, I see Susan, I see Kathy, but who's that lady with the dark hair and the purple shirt? I can't tell you how many times I've seen that. And I want to say, it's me, I'm Anna. So I'm humbled by that. No, I don't feel it. But a lot of people do recognize me, which is lovely. And I thank them so much for doing it because it makes me feel like I'm seen and noticed, and not forgotten. So I really do love it when people come up to me. It makes me feel fantastic.
Sure, I think that's kind of like the premise of the show too. At a certain age, you're not invisible anymore.
Right.
You're
That's a
not
big
invisible.
deal.
You're still a person, and you still have feelings, and you want to be loved, and you want to be noticed. And I think
Yeah.
that was kind of like an area it was touched on.
That's probably why it was so popular.
Yeah,
Each of us
absolutely.
has so much personality and we're so interesting that we were able to show that to the world. And how many other fantastic women and men are there at our age? So many. So hopefully everybody comes out of the woodworks now.
One of the guys from my gym is going to apply for the Golden Bachelorette.
Yay!
Yeah, this guy Jimmy.
I support him 100%. That's
If he
fantastic.
gets on.
Would you do it again, Anna? If they said, "Anna, we want to do your turn now and spin it off, and now you're the actual Bachelorette"?
Any day of the week, I would do that. I would do In Paradise. What I would love is for them to take like 5 or 6 or 7 of us women with a pool of men, maybe like 6, 7, 8, and throw
Okay.
us into a house together and see how we date each other, how that goes. Whoever gets eliminated and it doesn't work out, you bring in another woman and another man, and just see how the chemistry is at our age. I think that would be fantastic. Instead of so much pressure on just, the one bachelor or the one bachelorette, that's got to be a lot of pressure. I don't know how Teresa and Gary did it. That's really, hats off to them. That's a very difficult position to be in, all the attention on you. So it would be so great if they had a whole bunch of us in the house. I would love to see that. And I'd be there in a minute. And
There's an
Susan would be
idea.
fantastic. Kathy would be fantastic. Nancy, Joan, Edith. Oh my God. I just can't even imagine all of us in the house together dating men. Throw us in with 20, 25 men would be fantastic.
And Vin, we can have your sister host it.
Somebody would host it. Teresa.
We could have
That would be
Teresa
great.
host it.
Teresa and Gary. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great idea, Sean. I never thought of that. That would be fantastic.
Call the producers. Let them know.
Yeah. Producer, are you watching?
So let everybody know your how they can contact you on Instagram or your website, anything.
Instagram is easy enough, and that's my name, Anna _ my last name Zalk. You could friend me on Facebook. That one's private, so you have to friend me for me to friend you. But Instagram is public, so go ahead and have a look around and like and follow and Yeah, that's the best way to get me. I should be starting a blog. I think that I might get back into it with nutrition. Now that I've got a little bit of attention on me, I just have so much to say, and it would be so nice to say something like maybe once a week or so. So
Absolutely.
I'm thinking about it. Now I'm thinking about starting it back up again. So,
Oh
but
yeah, you
if
have
you
a big
get into
platform now. You have to utilize.
yeah, and the
Yeah,
Instagram it'll show if I'm on it.
definitely. Well, good
And,
luck with that.
yeah, and
Thank you.
as we do wind down, is there anything else maybe we didn't touch that you want to share with the listeners as we wind down?
Let's see.
I know we were kind of all around great conversation.
Yeah, I think I covered everything except for the omega-3 and 6, super important. Make sure everybody's getting omega-3 and 6. Those are essential. We don't make them. We make the 9, but we don't make the 3 and 6. And you can get that just in a capsule. Comes from fish usually, sardine, mackerel, anchovy. That's fine. I don't love it from the fish, when you see fish capsules, just because I don't know how much mercury is in that fish. I don't know how long it's been in the lab, how much contamination it can have. But when it comes from the little tiny ones like krill, anchovies, sardines, mackerels, they're so small that they don't have mercury. Mercury comes from a bigger fish eating another
Sure.
fish, and then the mercury accumulates. But when you have those little tiny ones, especially krill, there is no mercury in them. So that has a lot of 3 and 6, and super important, ladies. Super important. Men too, but super important for ladies.
Yeah,
I
cool.
think it's important too, just to highlight that when you do take them with a meal, especially with more of a fattier meal. Some people
Yes,
forget that as
absolutely.
well.
Great. You know a lot, Sean, about nutrition too, huh?
I
We're
my degrees in
bodybuilders.
my degrees in nutrition and exercise science.
Fantastic. I
Yeah,
love that. I love
Yeah.
and
for
plus
everybody.
I learned from the big guy here.
So great. Guys, spread the word to everybody because it's really not that difficult, especially if they start with food. If you start with food, gradually you can move on to the other things, supplements, herbs. But food is
Yes,
really a great way to get all your nutrients.
yes.
Absolutely.
But Anna,
Well,
it's truly been a pleasure. Vinny, I cannot thank you enough. This just went
yeah,
so fast, but it was such an honor tonight.
this had to be the most packed full of information podcast yet.
I'm
So
so happy. Yeah, we
thank
connected right away, Vinny and I, just like Teresa and I did. It was like immediate connection. And then we started talking about nutrition. We don't get off the phone, Teresa and I, for an hour or more just talking about nutrition. I love it. She knows
you.
so much. So you too. You guys are doing great. And Sean, fantastic.
Well, thank
Thank
you
you
again.
again, Anna. It's been a pleasure, and to everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. And Vin, we did have a guest for next week. Who was it again next week?
Yeah, my friend Billy, he has a magnificent story. He had a major accident, head injury, where he went from being a competitive powerlifter to now he can't stand up and do any of the lifts. So he's in I don't know the proper term for it, but he basically is in like handicap powerlifting, and he
Okay.
goes around the world, and he has an amazing story of what he went through, overcoming a lot of head injuries. So that's good. Next week's going to be a really good podcast.
Wow.
Good, good. Well, again, Anna, thank you so much. Vinny, it's always good seeing you. Just stay on for a minute. And thank you so much, folks. Have a great night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.